All right, y'all. Welcome here. Welcome back. It's that guys blows it gets making that quick, right? Um, I just had a little thought to myself here that I wanted to just pose out to everybody else here that might come through here and listen to these. I guess our question coming off that the week two game here against the Cowboys, losing in overtime. The defense played like it was, the offense played like it was. I would say myself that both were probably improved from last week, of course, but in general, to what we've been seeing from the last few seasons, I'd have to say that they are much improved when it comes to them playing up together at the same time, right? Instead of it being a game where the defense is keeping it close and the offense won't score, or I know them rare occasions where the offense was scoring and the defense just couldn't stop nobody, which is I can't even mention anything like that because we only averaged 18 points a game, in these last few seasons. So it's not, those instances probably didn't come up very often. But in a situation like this last week's game, I thought it was a good time to kind of take in a little earlier than I really intended, but a good time still to kind of ask that question after these first two games. Not anything about the players right now, but if I feel like, or if we feel like Brian Daboll has staved off any, fire talks, getting him fired talks, or if he's not saved his job for the season or anything like that, but if he's kind of quelled some of the heat that he was sitting on over the last, season or so, and starting off this year with the two losses, even though it was a very good game, at least performance wise, from getting stuff out of the talent last game against some Cowboys here. And I would have to say right now that I think last game's performances on the field probably did do a lot for him. Um, just in general, when it came to, the next day's conversation, not completely being about fire Dayball or fire Joe Shane. And Joe Shane's kind of included a little bit in this as well, but his might be a little more a different topic that I might have to go over. But with Brian Dayball here, I think he did do a fairly good job of staving off some of the discussions around it through the game. But at the same time, I have to make this point here too. Because at the same time, he kind of hurt them. He kind of hurt them because he for the team to play so well on the offensive side of the ball, and that always being the talk of what has held this team back, and for us to go through, you know, and all four quarters at, and eventually into overtime, um, and this is not even talking about necessarily any preparation as far as he might have had with the team is like things around the penalties. Because again, I feel like, kind of with the defense, at least the defensive side of the ball. I think they played kind of the game they needed to play against the team they needed to play against. It's this division opponent. There's no need to act extra careful about who we're playing and like, oh, I don't want to offend these guys because it's just one game out of the next 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 seasons we might play them. No, we see these guys twice a year, every year. So we're well known to each other. All the good camaraderie is always there as we step on the field, as as NFL brethren and sister in and stuff, and yeah, fit that in. This the stuff like that, we understand that at least as the fan base, right? But then on the field, it's a little bit in the coach staff, but on the field with the gentlemen out there playing, they know that they're here to play a game of football. They're here to put on their talents. They're here to earn their paychecks or whatever else, and then they're here to put on a good show for the fans and and team, represent the community, represent the coaching, and everything like that. That they're doing good stuff. So that I think is where Dayball gained a lot of it during this game, but where probably he lost a little bit at the same time, or let's say he probably didn't gain as much as he could have, is because of course of the W, not being a W, so it being up a loss, and then just the penalties, mainly, but not so much faulting him all out for the penalties because we came into this game with a certain energy about it, and I think it played well throughout the game on both sides of the ball, and it showed up on the field, and it showed up into the vibes of the team as everybody was out there making plays from Kavion to Burns to Dex when he could to Abdul Carter as a rookie coming in fresh to even in the secondary guys like who I know it's hard to say his name right now, but Banks, he does play like he plays sometime. He did have a ill coverage against CD Lamb late in the game there. But still, he was making some plays. He had a pretty solid tackle there near the line of scrimmage on one play, stopping the run, which I felt like, the secondary in general, the defensive backs from like a Debo to everybody else we brought in his name right now, but even Tyler Nubin. I know some people might not have felt he had the best game, but there were. If you look earlier through that game again, you will see that he was one of the ones to set the tone as far as the tackling was from the secondary to start out the game. So those first quarter and a half, 2 quarters, he was there to make some tackles. Missed tackles happen to all these guys, but when it came to setting the tone of what they were playing coming out there to play like for the day, I think he did a very good job there. And to again go with the rest of the secondary there. Again, Cordell Flott, really stepping up his game only not only maybe from a talent perspective here, but he is also like a smaller defensive back. And when he's facing up, I don't think I've seen him line up against a wide receiver that he was just as big as, or bigger than, yet. And I don't think we will see that too often, unless is more of a slot guy that he's facing up against that's moved outside. But a lot of these X receivers are that 6'2", range and up. And I'm not exactly sure his height and his size, but weight and stuff like that. But he is a smaller defensive back compared to a lot of these his wide receivers. If we look at somebody like Jamar Chase, maybe, um, or Justin Jefferson toward a receiver, or if he's going up with like a AJ Brown or something like that, definitely, that's for a lot of guys going against AJ. Um, and things like that. So, I think the coaching and what Dayball did there to get back on topic here, it was good there. And it probably did stave off some of the discussion around here uh, with the fandom if Dayball is going to get fired or should be fired. I think these next 2 games now will definitely go further to obtain that answer for us, at least from the fans. And if ownership feels whatever ownership feels, it's unlikely that ownership or whoever else up there is going to want to make a move like that so early in the season. I say it like that, but unless they see something in house that's really going to be able to, take over and fill that gap as a head coach is something to be seen. So I wouldn't think that if Brian Daboll was fired, that we'd get somebody from the outside to outside the building right now to come in and be the head coach. If it happens later in the season, perhaps we probably put the interims type thing in, and then go from there to the next season, actually getting somebody. So interim would still be kind of in-house, more likely in-house. And even if somebody was to come in early in the season, first half of the season, let's say, it'd be probably an interim type position for them, like Shane Bowen or something like that. Oh, and it's just having to move on from there in discussion with the team as a whole because this is another section or part of it. The talent and the talent performance is definitely one thing we have to consider, especially with something like the offensive line, of course. We are currently pretty middle of the pack, above average of the pack, actually, when it comes to top offensive lines. That is just 2 games. But I did also go ahead and try to check out the Dallas Cowboys rankings and grades for their offensive line. And to be honest, you just the same picture. You could look at a lot of those same scores. I didn't see anybody with too many yellow scores up there, if that means anything, a lot of red scores up there, a lot of, in that 60 range, low 60s, mid 60 range there. So I don't necessarily cite them as a source like that. I watch these football games that I talked about already, understand that, and I go through whatever post game all 22 stuff that I need to, I can do that too as well. So I don't necessarily go to them as a source, but it's just a source that I'm presenting right now as kind of a comparison of what our offensive line played like compared to somebody like the Dallas Cowboys who we just played, and considering the type of performance that our defensive line had against them, right? We can see the defensive line, whatever grade, whatever. But our defensive line played like that such against their graded out offensive line. So I think we are seeing some returns in that front seven right now, that are promising, and hopefully can even form more into it. Like I said, with somebody like Sexy Dexy, man, Dexter Lawrence, he can also start, you know, breakout game as well. We'll just put it like that because he's always there. He's always putting in the effort and things like that. So we can't, fault him if he has to take a breather. Lord, if the man has to take a breather, Lord forbid, right? All right. He's not tapping out. He's not the QB, so we should be okay with that. And then also when we look at somebody like Darius Alexander is the defensive tackle we picked up this year, in the draft. I would say if anybody really has any concerns about him, first you gotta realize that he was a third round pick, but then you have to consider somebody like Dexter Lawrence. Dex is who Dex is today, but Dex didn't come in to our team playing like the Dex of today. They took time to really get him into the form of what they wanted to do with his abilities and things like that. And eventually he became, like secondish, third year, we finally started putting him out there full time. Was what happened with him. So with somebody like Alexander, I'm kind of expecting the same thing, at least from my perspective. Uh yeah, that's just things, with the coaching. If Dayball's gonna be fired because of all this, man, I don't know. I don't think he should be right now. I think he should probably get a week series, got some definite opponents to go against to show stuff, showing that he can call up the plays, drop a game plan, and most importantly, right now, have the guys prepared when it comes to these penalties and just being juiced up and ready to go in the game, fired up and ready to go in the game, but still not getting so much into that they could take themselves out of the game and walk into those penalty status stuff. You know what I'm saying? After action, scrums and stuff like that, we're not going to shy away from for the Giants having to display because these are some of the elements that have been missing from the team when it comes to their own, you know, forces on the field and playing football, and everything like that. And the physicality of the game. Yeah. So we're just gonna go into next week here. Um, it's Kansas City Chiefs. We're gonna see if we can win this, and hopefully we do. Is Brian Daboll ready to be fired yet? I don't think so. Is it time for him to be fired yet? I don't think the question is yes, or the answer to that question is yes. And I probably think that the question itself probably is gonna get really seriously held off here for the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, you know. And that really depends on the performance of the team and if somebody like Jackson Dart is playing. But I don't think you could really also, kind of fire him before you see uh, him actually out there with Jackson Dart. And probably before he got fired, he would at least get Jackson Dart out there anyhow. Right. All right, Joe. I appreciate that. Just a quick one here. Sorry the last one was so long. Just want to get that out. Peace.